Hey everyone.
Hey.
We gotta be quieter because the first time we did this,
The sound was awful.
It
It
was
was way
too
too loud.
welcome.
First of all, this is for the Hooligan Fantasy Football League, which you are all a part of, or not.
We're gonna make these videos. We're gonna give you updates on like players who are
Important
injured,
things to know.
updates on like who's winning their matches.
Yeah.
But this
You
first
know.
one is really just for you guys, the ones who are a part of the league. What kind of things you have to pay attention to, things you have to change and keep track of.
First of all, football games happen one on Thursday, one on Monday, typically one on Monday. The first week there's two, and then the rest are on Sunday.
You can see the players in your starting lineup that have positions next to their names, and you see who's on your bench. They have BN next to their name.
If you want to start a player for fantasy, you have to have them in your starting lineup, so not on your bench, before they play their game, whether it be on Thursday, Sunday, or Monday. It's probably a smart thing to check like 10, 15 minutes before games start.
Yeah.
To see if your player will be playing, because usually that's when those announcements come in, whether a player is playing or not.
If a player gets injured, you're going to want to make sure that he's not in your starting lineup. So you need to get him out of there and put in somebody from your bench.
The bye weeks, every team at some week during the regular football season, they just don't play that week. It's like a rest week for them. The first bye week is week 4, and the last week is week 12.
You might have noticed like a little number next to your player's name when you were like drafting them. You're like, what the heck is that? That's their bye week.
Don't set your lineups solely based on, oh, Yahoo says these are going to be the players that give me the most points. No one can for sure predict that. You have to put in your players based on who you think, and then sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Sometimes a really good player has a bad week, sometimes a really bad player has a great week. You don't want to overreact to those. If a really, really good player has one bad week, you don't want to drop them. Another reason to switch out players in your lineup, it doesn't have to be based on injuries, it doesn't have to be based on bye weeks, it can be based on who you think's going to do better, based on what team they're playing. If they have a good defense, you might want to consider starting someone playing a worse defense over them. Things like that.
The little yellow notes next to each one of your players.
Information about that specific player that you might want to read to help you give a better idea of who you should be starting every week.
Sometimes they'll be red, sometimes they'll be yellow. Read those notes, especially if they're red. If they're yellow, you might want to take a look at it too.
We had a couple people ask us this after the draft. There were obviously a lot of players who were not drafted by any teams. And so they're just unowned, they're free agents right now. That means at any point you can pick up one of them to have them on your team. But in order to do that, you have to free up a roster spot, so you have to drop another player. So like if someone gets injured for the rest of the season, you're going to want to drop them and pick up someone else who will contribute something to your team for the rest of the season. Every year it happens that there's a player that no one thought would be good, that suddenly is doing really well, so you want to get those people on your team so that they can be doing well for your team. You do want to try to pick up people who are going to be good for you for the rest of the season, but you don't want to overreact too much. You don't want to be picking up 5 players every week.
Waivers, what that means when they're not free agents, is that there's a period right after a player's dropped or right after the last game of the week on Monday night.
1 or 2 days after that.
This is like the most confusing part.
You can pick them up, but you can't do it right away. It's basically you're putting in bids to pick them up based on waiver priority.
Which you can see on the main page on the Yahoo thing. Like next to your name in the standings, it'll say waiver priority.
And it's ordered 1 through 12. So like if Chris and I wanted to pick up the same player, we put in our bids, but if I have a higher waiver priority, then I get the player.
And then the waiver priority, so say Alec gets the person that he wanted with waiver priority 1,
then
he
I
gets dropped to the end of
last
waiver priority. So now he's 12.
And then it shifts up.
And everybody bumps up. And then after that 2-day period, everyone else who wasn't picked up off waivers is now a free agent.
And you can pick them up anytime until they play their next game.
So the only time you have to worry about waivers is the 2 days after games.
When you pick up someone who's a free agent, that does not affect your waiver priority. If you pick up someone off waivers, it will affect your waiver priority. And it indicates on the website whether they're a free agent or whether they're on waivers.
Trades.
You can trade players. It'll be up to us as the commissioners to determine whether trades are fair.
That's true.
You can offer a trade online, and then they can accept it. Or
that's easy. And the reason we're telling you this is because we want everyone to kind of keep doing it and enjoy doing it. It sucks when like it's football week. One team is super excited, their lineup is like perfect, and then they're like, oh, the person I'm playing didn't switch out the people who were either injured or on a bye week.
It's not the same. It's not as
exciting.
Fun. Also, because there is money involved, first place, second place, and third place will get money. Third place will get their buy-in back, so $10. Mm-hmm. Second place will get $20. First place will get the rest, which is $90.
There's money involved. We want to make sure that people are paying attention because we know that there's some people doing this that aren't like, crazy football fans, which we're super excited that are wanting to do it in the first place. Just keep track of it. Have fun.
Because it's all about fun.
Yeah, it's like
we want everyone to have fun. And if you keep updating it and make sure that you're doing the best you can every week, then you'll have more fun.
Exactly. We're really excited about this. Football season is great. We're planning on like we'll have people together.
Come over, watch the games. There's an application on the website called Stat Tracker where you can see your team and your opponent's team, and then it updates in real time the points you're getting based on how the players do.
Set your lineups. Yeah. First game's on Thursday.
First game is on Thursday. Packers at Seahawks. So make sure if you have a Packer player or a Seahawk
player, get them set.
And you want to play them, make sure they're in your lineup.
That's it for this video, I think.
Yes.
We'll be back.
And probably better as we go on with these videos. Hopefully.
Yeah.
We can only hope.
We can only hope.